Now, for a closer look at Dryden's career on the ice and the legacy he leaves behind, we're joined live by hockey analyst Marco D'Amico. Thanks for joining us here live on CP24. We do appreciate it in the morning. You know, we just talked to Ken Reid, our political analyst, talking about, who he was off the ice as well, but also, sprinkling in, how his NHL career made him such a great politician. But, let's focus on his hockey career. And it's rare that we're talking about somebody with wore this many hats. What can you say about the Hall of Famer?
Legendary. Just to come into a legendary team like the Montreal Canadiens and win the MVP of the playoffs before even getting into his first full rookie season. I don't think that's ever been done since, and it won't be done ever again, in my opinion. It's just too great a feat to be forgotten. And I think you look at the five Vezinas, you look at, winning the 72 Summit Series, you look at all the Stanley Cups that he's won, and that still to this day sticks out to me as one of the most just wonderful things that you can do in the sport, is just come in, put a team on your back, even though there's some Hall of Fame players on that team, and just push them all the way to glory. And I feel like, you talked about his political career. I was fortunate enough to know him on the ice and off the ice on that in that front, and he was the same there as well. It just elevated everyone around him, and it just, that calming presence let everybody go to work and do their job to the best of their ability.
And, it's interesting. You're seeing, obviously, maybe there's some young people, some millennials out there who became Canadiens fans because their parents were Canadian fans. And now you're seeing the parents, like the boomers, they're shedding tears right now because this was their hero.
Absolutely. I mean, I had a really difficult conversation with my father a couple of hours ago. It's not easy. It really isn't. And, to me, one of the fun things that I got to do recently was just talk about, the Montreal Canadiens just traded Carey Price. Carey Price's hero was Ken Dryden. And, one of the things that I remember him talking about a couple of maybe about 10 years ago was just how he wanted to have that calming demeanor, that impact, that gravitas on individuals that Ken Dryden has, because his parents, who were not even Canadiens fans, couldn't stop talking about Ken Dryden when they knew that Carey was going to be a goalie in the NHL. It's the same thing when it comes to fans right now. Like, I'm not personally in Montreal, but my phone's been blowing up since this morning because everybody wants to talk about it. Everyone wants to mourn. Everyone feels strong emotion because this is an individual that brought out emotion in individuals and made them believe in things greater than themselves.
And, we're in Toronto, and we think that, we're a hockey city. But honestly, Montreal, from what I understand, the Bell Center is a different place. How will the city of Montreal remember Ken Dryden? Have you heard anything about ceremonies, gatherings, his funeral? Like, he's born in Hamilton, but like, what are you hearing about how the city will remember him?
Yeah, well, definitely going to be some ceremonies. I know that the Montreal Canadiens are extremely classy in this regard. There were, some very obviously Maurice Richard, Jean Beliveau, Guy Lafleur had national ceremonies. With the Montreal Canadiens, there'll definitely be some sort of vigil, I expect, tonight outside of the Bell Center from fans, be it prompted or unprompted from the organization. You're definitely going to see some celebration at the beginning of the season. I know that the Montreal Canadiens communication staff is probably hard at work as we speak, trying to set that up so that he is properly remembered for the contributions that he made to that organization, hockey in general, and just Canadiana culture. So to me, I think that, you see the emotion being poured out. I think it's going to be met with significant amount of celebration as well.
Yeah, from what I'm just looking at the schedule now, they don't play at home. I think they start the first 3 games on the road. But they start at home October 14th against the Seattle Kraken. Like, not exactly an original 6 matchup, but it'll be interesting to see what they do for him there. So, talking to us now, like, how would you remember Ken Dryden the most when you first hear his name?
So I never had the pleasure of watching Ken Dryden. I'm one of those millennials you pointed out before, but I think one of the best things that I was ever able to do was watch the 72 Summit Series with my dad on Saturday mornings. And then the moment we'd leave the house and go downtown to shop, you'd have his bronze statue sitting in the middle of a shopping center. And I just couldn't help to want to just stand and understand what that gravitas was like. And as people would pass by, they would just be like, do you know how good this man was? Do you know how great this man was? And it just, like, complete strangers, English, French, didn't matter. They would stop and just tell the stories of how this man made them feel watching the sport of hockey. And I think, to me, that is the greatest impact that you could have as an athlete. And it just speaks to the highest form of appreciation, because he wasn't, an exuberant personality. He wasn't someone that went out of his way to be in the spotlight. The spotlight found him, and he was humble in it at every point.
Yeah. You know what? Talking to Scott Reed on the political side, who's also a sports guy as well, but the word calm keeps showing up, and just humble. It just keeps showing up. And for someone who's that decorated to remain that way throughout is pretty awesome stuff. Well, Marco, we do appreciate it so much. And we'll chat soon.
Thank you, Phil. Have a great day.